Spot check.
Spot check.
Spot checks on quality. We carry out spot checks on the vehicles before they leave the depot.
We spot check everyone's work.
Spotless.
Spotless.
A spotless white handkerchief.
By the time she had finished, the house was absolutely spotless.
A company whose reputation was spotless until this scandal broke.
The whole house was spotlessly clean.
Spotlight. Spotlight.
The yard was lit by 3 huge spotlights.
I was sweating under the spotlights.
She stepped into the spotlight and began to sing.
Education is once again under the spotlight. A new report has turned the spotlight on the problem of poverty in the inner cities.
The article spotlights the problems of the homeless.
She walked out onto the spotlit stage.
Spot on.
Spot on.
Judith is always spot on with her advice. Judith is always spot on with her advice.
Spotted.
Spotted.
A red and white spotted blouse.
Spotted Dick.
Spotted Dick.
Spotter.
Spotter.
Football clubs send spotters to look for young talent.
Spotting.
Spotting.
Spotty.
Spotty.
A tall, thin, spotty youth. A spotty face.
Spouse.
Spouse.
Spouses were invited to the company picnic.
Spousal abuse.
Spout. Spout.
The computer's up the spout. My plans for the weekend seem to have gone up the spout.
Blood was spouting from the wound in her arm. A volcano spouting lava.
My father was spouting his usual nonsense.
I hate it when he spouts off like that.
I'm tired of listening to Jim spouting about politics.
Sprain.
Sprain.
I fell down the steps and sprained my ankle. I thought my wrist might be broken, but it was just a bad sprain.
Sprang.
Sprang.
Sprat.
Sprat.
Sprawl.
Sprawl.
He sprawled out on the sofa.
I tripped on a stone and went sprawling on the pavement.
A blow which sent him sprawling.
The town seemed to sprawl for miles. We drove through miles of urban sprawl before we finally got out into the countryside.
Sprawled.
Sprawled.
He was sprawled in an armchair in front of the TV.
A girl lay sprawled across the bed.
Sprawling.
Sprawling.
A vast sprawling city.
Spray.
Spray.
She sprayed herself with perfume.
Someone had sprayed blue paint over his car.
Vandals had sprayed graffiti on the walls. The fruit is sprayed every 4 weeks.
Champagne sprayed from the bottle.
Gunmen sprayed the crowd with bullets. A new hairstyling spray.
Most farmers use pesticide sprays.
Mary took a perfume spray from her handbag.
Spray from the waves.
My face was stinging from the salt spray.
A spray of blood came from his mouth.
A spray of holly. A spray of violets and primroses.
Spray can.
Spray can.
Sprayer.
Sprayer.
Spray gun.
Spray gun.
Spray on.
Spray on.
A spray-on water repellent for clothing.
Spray paint.
Spray paint.
Spray tan.
Spray tan.
Spread. Spread.
Fire quickly spread through the building.
He watched the dark stains spread over the grey carpet.
The disease spread rapidly amongst the poor.
The cancer had spread to her liver.
Revolution quickly spread from France to Italy.
News of the explosion spread swiftly.
Buddhism spread to China from India.
The news spread like wildfire.
Word spread quickly that she was leaving.
Andy loves spreading rumours about his colleagues.
They are spreading the word about the benefits of immunisation.
Papers and photos were spread across the floor.
He spread the map out on the desk. A table spread with a white cloth.
The forest that spread over the whole of that region.
The company has more than 2,500 shops spread throughout the UK.
He spread plaster on the walls.
Spread the toast thinly with jam. If you warm up the butter, it'll spread more easily.
Spread the nut mixture evenly over the bottom.
He shrugged and spread his hands.
Could I spread the repayments over a longer period?
There will be 12 concerts spread throughout the summer.
The bills are sent out on different dates to spread the workload on council staff.
They want the country's wealth to be more evenly spread.
A slow smile spread over her face.
A year spent studying abroad should allow him to spread his wings a bit.
They complained that resources were spread too thinly.
The search party spread out to search the surrounding fields.
Sue spread out her notes on the kitchen table and began to write.
The city spread out below her looked so calm.
The course is spread out over 4 days.
An attempt to stop the spread of nuclear weapons.
The rapid spread of cholera in Latin America.
1 slice of toast with a low-fat spread.
We have a good spread of ages in the department.
A broad spread of investments.
The geographical spread of the company's hotels.
There's a double-page spread in Sunday's paper.
The spread between the Citibank's loan rates and deposit rates.
A 4-point spread.
Spread betting.
Spread betting.
Spread-eagled.
Spread-eagled.
He lay spread-eagled on the bed. Spreadsheet.
Spreadsheet.
Spree.
Spree.
They went on a drinking spree.
A shopping spree.
Sprig.
Sprig.
A sprig of parsley.
Sprigged.
Sprigged.
Sprightly.
Sprightly.
Spring.
Spring.
The spring of 1933. It's due to open in the spring.
It was a cold, sunny day in early spring.
Spring flowers.
An old armchair with broken springs. Spring water.
There are several hot springs in the area.
As he walked into the office that morning, there was a spring in his step.
Tom sprung out of bed and ran downstairs.
2 men sprang out at me as I was walking through the park. He sprang to his feet and rushed after her. One of the young policemen sprang to her assistance.
The branch sprang back and hit him in the face.
The gate sprang shut behind them.
2 questions spring to mind. They were prepared and ready to spring into action.
Finally, the engine sprang to life. Roy is unlikely to spring any surprises.
A lot of small businesses sprang into existence during the 1980s. Charlene sprang immediately to her son's defense.
I'll spring for the beer tonight.
Behavior which springs from prejudices.
It's not fair to spring this on her without any warning.
Fast food restaurants are springing up all over town.
Springboard.
Springboard.
The TV soap has been a springboard for a lot of careers.
Springbok.
Springbok.
Spring break.
Spring break.
Spring break.
Spring chicken.
Spring chicken.
Spring cleaning.
Spring cleaning.
Judith's busy doing the spring cleaning. Judith's busy doing the spring cleaning.
Spring fever.
Spring fever.
Spring loaded.
Spring loaded.
Spring onion.
Spring onion.
Spring roll.
Spring roll.
Springtide.
Springtide.
Springtime.
Springtime.
When the snow melts in the springtime.
Spring training.
Spring training.
Springy.
Springy.
The grass was soft and springy.
Sprinkle.
Sprinkle.
Sprinkle the top with cheese.
I sprinkled cocoa over my latte.
The book is liberally sprinkled with clichés.
Add a sprinkle of salt.
Sprinkler.
Sprinkler.
Sprinkling.
Sprinkling.
The hilltops were covered with a sprinkling of snow.
Sprint.
Sprint.
Bill sprinted up the steps.
The 100-metre sprint.
He made a desperate sprint for the train.
Sprinter. Sprinter.
Sprite.
Sprite.
Spritz.
Spritz.
Spritzer.
Spritzer.
Sprocket.
Sprocket.
Sprout.
Sprocket. Sprog.
Sprog. Sprout.
Sprout.
Move the pots outside when the seeds begin to sprout.
Trees were starting to sprout new leaves.
Office blocks are sprouting up everywhere.
Jim seemed to have sprouted a beard.
Spruce.
Spruce.
Paul went upstairs to spruce up before dinner.
The cottage had been spruced up a bit since her last visit.
Mr. Bailey was looking very spruce in a white linen suit.
Spruce. Sprung.
Sprung.
A sprung mattress.
Spry.
Spry.
He's still remarkably spry.
Spud.
Spud.
Spume.
Spume.
Spun.
Spun.
Spume. Spunk.
Spunk.
She had a lot of spunk.
Spunky.
Spunky.
A spunky performance.
A spunky heroine.
Spur.
Spur.
We would often decide what to play on the spur of the moment.
It provided the spur to further research.
The crowd's reaction only acted as a spur.
The band was spurred on by the success of their last two singles.
His misfortune spurred him to write. The coach who spurred him on to Olympic success.
It was an article in the local newspaper which finally spurred him into action.
Lower taxes would spur investment and help economic growth.
Spurious.
Spurious.
He demolished the opposition's spurious arguments.
Spurious sympathy.
Spurn.
Spurn.
She spurned all offers of help.
A spurned lover.
Spur of the moment.
Spur of the moment.
Spurt.
Spurt.
Blood spurted from his nose. Flames spurted through the roof.
It boiled over, spurting hot water everywhere. He suddenly spurted ahead of the others.
A sudden spurt of flame.
The water came out of the tap in short spurts.
In a sudden spurt of anger, Ellen slammed the door shut.
We weren't consistent. We played in spurts.
Sputter.
Sputter.
Suddenly the engine sputtered and stopped.
What do you mean? Sputtered Annabel.
Sputum.
Sputum.
Spy.
Spy.
She worked as a spy for the American government.
He was charged with spying on British military bases.
He confessed to spying for North Korea.
Ellen suddenly spied her friend in the crowd.
She sent you to spy on me, didn't she?
Spyglass.
Spyglass.
Spy-hole.
Spy-hole.
Spyware.
Spyware.
30 centimetre square floor tiles. 30 centimetre square floor tiles. 40 Merrion Square, Dublin.
Squabble.
Squabble.
They're always squabbling over money.
He's squabbling with the referee. A petty squabble.
Bitter squabbles between employers and unions.
Squad.
Squad.
The Italian World Cup squad.
A controlled explosion was carried out by bomb squad officers.
A drill squad.
Squad car.
Squad car.
Squaddy.
Squaddy.
Squadron.
Squadron.
Squadron leader.
Squadron leader.
Squalid.
Squalid.
How can anyone live in such squalid conditions?
A tiny squalid apartment.
Squalid behaviour.
A squalid affair.
Squall.
Snow squalls.
Squall.
Squally.
Squally.
Squally showers.
Squally.
Squalor.
Squalor.
We lived in squalor for 1.5 years.
Squander.
Squander.
The home team squandered a number of chances in the first half.
They squandered the profits on expensive cars.
Square.
Square.
A large square room.
Square corners.
About 4 square metres of ground.
The room is 6 meters square.
I don't think the shelf is square with the floor.
Children should have 3 square meals a day.
A square jaw.
The teams were all square at the end of the first half.
Here's your £10 back, so that makes us square.
I'm not getting a square deal here.
First of all, draw a square.
A small square of cloth.
The hotel is just off the main square of Sorrento.
She lives in Hanover Square.
The police are now back at square one in their investigation. OK, let's go back to square one and try again.
I've had to relearn the game from square one.
The square of 4 is 16.
India won the second match to square the series at 1 each.
Get your work squared away before you leave. I'll pay for the drinks and you can square up later.
The 2 lads squared up to each other.
His story simply does not square with the facts.
How do you square that with your religious beliefs?
I'll take the day off if I can square it with my boss.
Look him square in the eye and say no.
Wright passed the ball square to Brown.
Square bracket.
Square bracket.
The words in square brackets should be deleted.
Squared.
Squared.
Squared paper.
3 squared equals 9. Square dance.
Square dance.
Square knot.
Square knot.
Squarely.
Squarely.
He turned and faced her squarely.
She hit him squarely on the nose.
The blame lies squarely on the shoulders of the police.
Dr. Soames jammed his hat squarely on his head.
Square root.
Square root.
The square root of 9 is 3.
Squarish.
Squarish.
Squash.
Squash.
The cake got a bit squashed on the way here.
Her hair has been squashed down by her hat.
Move over, you're squashing me.
7 of us squashed into the car. We can probably squash another couple of things in. Her suggestions were always squashed.
The government was quick to squash any hopes of reform. The others squashed up against Joe.
A squash court.
Glass of orange squash.
Squashed.
Squashed.
Squashed tomatoes.
I was squashed between Jan and Dave in the back seat.
Squashy.
Squashy.
Squat.
Squat.
He squatted down beside the little girl.
Squat stone cottages.
A squat little old man.
She lives in a squat in Camden.
He had a job that paid him squat. You don't know squat about it.
Squatter.
Squatter.
Squaw.
Squaw.
Squawk.
Squawk.
Squeaky.
Squeak.
Squeak.
A rat squeaked and ran into the bushes.
The door squeaked open. Too late, she squeaked.
She just squeaked through her math test.
A squeak of alarm.
The high-pitched squeak of a bat.
We didn't hear a squeak from him in months.
Squeaky.
Squeaky.
A squeaky voice. Squeaky floorboards.
Politicians who are less than squeaky clean.
Squeaky clean hair.
Squeal.
Squeal.
The children squealed with delight. They drove off, tires squealing.
Let me go, she squealed.
She gave a squeal of laughter.
There was a squeal of brakes.
Squeamish.
Squeamish.
His new novel is not for the squeamish.
Squeegee.
Squeegee.
Squeeze.
Squeeze.
She smiled as he squeezed her hand.
He squeezed the trigger, but nothing happened.
Squeeze the oranges.
Try to squeeze a bit more out.
Squeeze a bit of lemon juice onto the fish.
5 of us squeezed into the back seat.
He had squeezed through a gap in the fence. We could probably squeeze in a few more people.
Greece just squeezed through into the next round.
The government is squeezing the railway's investment budget.
How do you manage to squeeze so much into one day?
I can squeeze you in at 4 o'clock.
If budgets are cut, vital research may be squeezed out.
Squeeze the cloth out first.
See if you can squeeze more information out of them.
It'll be a squeeze with 6 people in the car.
Marty gave her hand a little squeeze.
Cuts due to the squeeze on public sector spending. A credit squeeze. All manufacturers are feeling the squeeze.
Squeeze box.
Squeeze box.
Squeezed middle.
Squeezed middle.
Squeezer.
Squeezer.
Squelch.
Squelch.
My hair was dripping and my shoes squelched as I walked.
We squelched across the field.
Her creativity had been squelched. Squelchy.
Squelchy.
Squib.
Squib.
Squid.
Squid.
Squidgy.
Squidgy. We don't want soft, squidgy sandwiches.
Squiffy.
Squiffy.
Squiggle.
Squiggle.
Shorthand just looks like a series of funny squiggles to me.
Squiggly lines.
Squillion.
Squillion. Restoring the house to its former glory will cost squillions.
Squint.
Squint.
Anna squinted in the sudden bright sunlight.
Stop squinting at the screen. Put your glasses on.
Squire. Squirm.
Squirm.
Christine squirmed uncomfortably in her chair.
The boy tried to squirm free.
He made me squirm with embarrassment.
Squirrel.
Squirrel.
By December, I had $300 squirreled away.
Squirrely.
Squirrely.
Squirrely kids.
Squirt.
Squirt.
Water suddenly squirted out from a hole in the pipe.
Squirt some oil in the log.
Mom, Chad's squirting me with the hose.
Some kids squirted a water pistol in her face.
A squirt of water.
Squirt gun.
Squirt gun.
Squish.
Squish.
Squishy.
Squishy.
Squishy mud.
SR.
Douglas Fairbanks Sr.
Signor Lopez. Sister Bernadette.
SS.
Aboard the SS Great Britain. Statues of SS Augustine and Thomas.